Donald Trump plans to raise tariffs to up to 250% on US pharma imports. You heard that right. In an interview to CNBC, the US president said that we'll be putting an initially small tariff on pharmaceuticals, 1 year to 1.5 years maximum. It's going to be 150%, and then it's going to be 250% because we want pharmaceuticals to be made in our country. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this puts Indian pharma industry in a big spot as it is one of the largest exporter to the United States. Let's talk about the numbers here. In FY24, India exported $8.7 billion worth of pharma products to the United States. Now, this comprised over 11% of India's total merchandise exports to that country. In the same period, India exported $77.5 billion worth of merchandise goods to the US and imported $42.2 billion worth of goods from it, resulting in a trade surplus of $35.3 billion in India's favor. Now, the US is India's largest destination for pharma exports, accounting for over 31% of the country's total pharma exports. As much as 47% of all generics consumed in the US are imported from India. So you see, US is a very strong and a strategic destination for India's exports. India imports roughly $800 million worth of pharma products from the US and imposes a tariff of 10%. Now, shares of almost all major Indian pharma companies have been trading in red since this interview of Donald Trump. From Sun Pharma to Dr. Reddy's, all of them are in red. Experts say that even if higher tariffs are imposed on active pharma ingredients or APIs, which are raw materials going into pharma production, India could still be competitive if tariffs on other API supplying countries are higher than that of India. Moreover, the US will still be dependent on countries like India, since the cost of manufacturing certain drugs in the US would be at least 6 times compared to that of manufacturing the same product in India. Now, as per market experts, the US market, which relies heavily on India for APIs and low-cost generics, could struggle to find alternatives. Efforts to shift pharma manufacturing and API production to other countries or within the US even will take at least 3 to 5 years to establish meaningful capacity. But see, if status quo is maintained and Trump administration actually goes ahead with the tariffs, India will have to look at newer markets in the East Africa and the Middle East. Now, these markets are neither high value nor high in volumes, but it will be a better option than dealing with an uncertain US market like this one. The tariffs are the president's bid to incentivize drug companies to move manufacturing operations to the US at a time when domestic drug production in the US has shrunk dramatically over the last few decades. Over the last 6 months, companies like Johnson & Johnson have announced fresh US investments to build goodwill with the president. But as far as Indian pharma sector is concerned, this could be a critical development. As per SBI research, earnings of Indian pharma companies could be hit by 2 to 8% in FY26, and tariff will reduce competitiveness in the world's largest pharma market and profit margin pressure due to inability to pass on costs. This would eventually impact employment in the Indian pharma sector.